right, if I can have everyone's attention, we will round out our media availability here at Richmond International Raceway today with Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 FedEx Ground Toyota. Denny, coming back to your home track this weekend, talk a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Looking forward to it. We spent some time doing some short track testing during the off weekend to try to get better. We feel like over these last couple of years, really since the Generation 6 car, we've as an organization have struggled. We've really lost our edge, you could say, on the short tracks. So we're trying to get that back and trying to get some of that good feeling in the car back. And I think we've took some steps forward today in practice. Still not where we need to be by any means, but definitely should perform better than what we did at Martinsville.
You also have a promotion coming up with Autism Speaks. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're excited about it. I believe until May 4th, you can go to FedExRacing.com/FedEx400 to get your name on our car for $11 donation. It'll be on our Autism Speaks car. So it's a big race for everyone at FedEx, and to have a special promotion. We've done the March of Dimes, obviously. Now Autism Speaks once again at Dover. So it's a big race for us, being a title sponsor, and it's Autism Awareness Month, so it's a big one for us.
Okay, we'll start our questions up front right here with Mike, then go back to Ryan.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. Danny, still looking for the first win. You missed a race, but you're doing pretty good in points, all things considered. How do you assess where you are now?
Well, we're not where we need to be, for sure. I touched on it a little bit. Our cars are a little bit off right now. There's a lot of little pieces and parts of our cars that are off just a little bit, which really gets magnified, especially when a couple teams have hit on something that's really giving them an advantage at this point, but because they've found a setup that's really working well. So we're kind of getting exploited by that at this time. But like I said, we're still working and we're getting better. We're learning every time we hit the racetrack. We're learning something new, and we haven't used any of our tests yet, which we will use, I'm sure, this summer to try to get better for the summer months, because obviously we can save all the tests we want for the chase, but if you're not in it, it really doesn't matter. So we've got to get our cars running a little bit better than what they are right now.
Okay, we'll take a question in the back from Ryan, then come back up to Claire.
Ryan McGee, ESPN. We kind of said this going into Martinsville too, but is this track coming at the right time for you right now?
Yeah, I hope so. We really came off two solid performances, I feel like, in the last 2 weeks between Texas and Darlington. We ran pretty solid there. Martinsville was the one chink in the armor for us where we, kind of caught us off guard and where our short track package was. But yeah, I mean, after the testing we did during the off week, I feel like it's a good time for us to come here, and we went from very subpar car the very first practice to in just 1 hour later putting ourselves, we feel like, is somewhere around top 5 cars. So we're making gains and heading in the right direction. I just, as a driver, I'm so impatient. You want things, I feel like I really want to take advantage of these times that we're at these racetracks, because these are the racetracks where we've performed so well in the past that you want to have the best of the best.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Claire, then go back to the back again.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. What is it about this track and the art of racing it that, if you're a fan watching or you're studying what it is that those who are good at short tracks can do, and what you have learned, without giving away any of your secrets, obviously, but you take a Jimmy Johnson, he has a couple of wins here, but it's not a great track for him. What is it about learning, to race at a track like this, even if you're the best of the best driver?
The short tracks in general, the driver can make a little difference when his car's not 100%. Anywhere where you have to use a lot of brake and there's a lot of throttle control, the driver obviously is a bigger factor. That's some of the struggles we've seen on the mile and a halfs, and our cars are running so fast. we're all just running around there wide open all the time, the driver's not as important. It's about how fast your race car is, the aero, the engines, things like that. When you come to these tracks where you're going to be working the wheel a lot, working the gas and the brake a lot, you've got to be on your game as a driver. So when you have a technique that works at certain particular racetracks, you feel like this is the tracks you need to perform well. Of course, Richmond and is a track that has a little bit of everything. You need a little bit of motor. You need your car to handle well, and it's just aero is a little factor as well. So, I mean, it's just it's one of those tracks where you really have to have everything working just right: mechanical, aero, engines. It's one of the very few tracks where all three of those are equally as important.
Okay, we have another question in the back, then we'll come back up to Jeff.
Mark Davis, NBC 12 here in Richmond. Denny, based on the new point system and the new system with the chase, can you just talk about the importance of getting that first win and how great it would be to get that here at Richmond, especially because you couldn't race here last April?
I mean, it would be super important for us in particular because, after missing a race and then, making quite a few mistakes myself over the last 2 weeks, there's 50, 60 points that are off the table that we should have. So, I mean, it's a fine balance that I wish we could have a win because, we're so far off, with our cars right now. I wish we could try some dramatically different setups and things, but we still have got to keep the points thing in mind that if for some reason we don't get a win, we need to be one of those guys that are high enough in points to get a berth that way. So, it's really plays to the advantage of the guys that do have wins to really start to work in different areas for these next few months before the chase to improve their cars. And so it's a tough balance for us because, like I said, we would like to get that win, but we've also got to make sure we put in a setup in the car that's going to give us a good run as well.
Okay, next question up front, Jeff, right here.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. A lot of people have been talking about how crazy the qualifying is going to be next week at Talladega. Two questions, I guess. Do you think it's going to be crazy, and like everybody's saying? And second, why? Because of all places, why does qualifying matter there, or starting position matter there?
It really doesn't. I mean, I think it's going to be more just of an exhibition than it is anything. I mean, if you're 25th, trust me, you're not going to sleep uneasy the night before the race because you're starting 25th. You know that's going to change within lap 1. So I think it's more going to be just a show for the fans and things like that than anything. I'm sure the crew chiefs will probably pull the reins back on the drivers a little bit on making crazy moves and things like that, but I think you'll probably see a lot of pack drafting with teammates and manufacturer mates and things like that. So I don't know it'll be as crazy as people think, and a lot of it too is that track is so wide that I mean, you can run 6 wide, so it's not like we're doing super speedway racing at Darlington where there's no escaping anyone. You can make moves to get out of the way. So Daytona practice was fun when we did that for the Unlimited, and I think it's going to be fun for the drivers to try to time your runs and things like that. But as far as importance for the race, there's really none.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Chris, then go back to the back.
Denny, Chris, NightGetTrends.com. Just trying to get a recap of how last night went. Were you happy? And was it the right move to move it from Richmond to South Boston? How much money did you raise, too? Do you know?
We won't know for a few weeks till everything comes in, but huge success. I mean, it was the biggest event by far we've had as far as attendance and competitor participation. Everything was just really, really good. They did a really good job of hosting it, promoting it. There was no seat available, and there was 4 deep all the way around the racetrack with people. We estimate probably around 8,000 or 9,000 people at South Boston, which it doesn't hold that many. So it was a huge event as far as that's concerned. You had everything. You had a fist fight. You had cars landing on top of each other, and a pass within 5 to go. So to me, that was a a home run. Unfortunately, I ran horribly. That's the only downside.
All right, we got a couple of questions in the back. Go ahead.
Mitch Carr, WRIC ABC 8 here in Richmond. I was able to talk with Elliott Sadler yesterday and Gray Galding, a couple of guys that are from around here, and asked them about what kind of things they like to do when they come back to their home track. So when you're away from the track, what kind of stuff do you like to do around Richmond?
There's a pretty awesome TGI Fridays in Chesterfield we all hang out at, or used to hang out at. So, you know, that's kind of the watering hole for us Chesterfieldians.
Okay, go ahead with your next question back there.
Back in the back, Sean Robertson, CBS 6 here in Richmond. In your current situation right now, how many chances can you take at this track tomorrow night?
If it's for a win, it'll be a big chance. You know, we haven't, you know, within, you know, a couple weeks ago, Texas, we definitely had a car that could win. Darlington, we were, you know, top 5-ish, top 10-ish. But, you know, I really haven't been in that position at any of these racetracks so far where I could take a chance for a race win. We were going to have a great shot at Texas, but I slid through my pit box on that last restart, and so it put me in the back, but it was going to allow me to start on the front row with on that green-white checkered. Same with Darlington. Sped on pit road. We were going to be on the front row once again on a green-white checkered. So two big missed opportunities by myself making mistakes there. But if you know, I have that chance again, and I have a chance to make a move to get a win, for sure would be very, very aggressive, especially on this type of racetrack where I feel like I've got pretty good car control.
Okay, we have a question up front. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Dave Lawrence, Richmond Suburban News. Switch focus a little bit. I mean, a lot of you guys do work for charities. You've got the Denny Hamlin Foundation, mainly with cystic fibrosis. You're doing stuff with Autism Speaks. How do you choose your causes? And is it personal connections or what?
You know, the two major ones that we have partnerships with FedEx, the March of Dimes, and the Autism Speaks. I mean, those are major, you know, organizations that affect the most people. I mean, autism, I think it's like 1 in 80 now. Children have autism. That number keeps getting lower and lower. So the cost of a child that has autism is very expensive for the families. So, I mean, we're trying to touch, you know, what affects the most people. March of Dimes, obviously, kids are our future, and having a healthy premature baby is very important. And I know from having a healthy one myself, you really start to appreciate that. But the personal one in cystic fibrosis comes from, you know, my cousin has it, so it's affected our family. And he's you know, kind of going through a little tough time right now with it. And it's just a fight. I mean, it's tough for any family that has cystic fibrosis, and I've met a lot of kids that have it, and that, you know, they live at the hospital a lot, and so it's tough to be in that situation. And, you know, I'm very fortunate to be partnered with the people that I'm partnered with. I mean, because FedEx really allows me the liberty to be out there and help promote these great organizations, and so it makes me look really good when I'm able to go out there and make a difference and have a sponsor that supports that.
Final two questions, Hank, then Dustin.
Denny Hank with the Associated Press. You see guys win, and they come in the next week, and they're almost giddy, like, you know, they got the chip that they need to get into the chase. As you go along, and as the car kind of continues to struggle, and how much, even week to week now, or is it weeks from now when the pressure is going to really start to amp up?
I think it'll probably be weeks from now. Honestly, I think probably mid to late June is when you'll start to see time start to really move fast on you, and look at the races that are coming up and counting down when you gotta really well, what can you do? You know, when can you throw a Hail Mary to try to do something to get a win? At this point, where we're at with our organization, I think, you know, we're in a very slow process to get our cars better. And, you know, we still have great race cars and a great pit crew, and that those are the things that catalysts that keep us at least in contention every single week, is how solid the organization is. But we definitely know that we're a little bit behind, and it's going to take a little time. So I'm very patient with that. You know, I know it's the changes, and our speed is not going to change overnight, but it will change in the next month or two. So I'm looking forward to that. And really, it's these tough times when you know you're down here and there in these little places that you can make yourself better. When you have those bumps in performance in these little parts and pieces in your car, then you really start to perform well. So I'm not panicked yet, because I know good things are coming down the line.
Okay, we'll take our final question from Dustin.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. You've talked about the last 2 races, the things on pit road that you haven't quite gotten it done. So in other sports, if you have something like that, you can go practice it. It's not like you can go in a car and practice it. How do you deal with that? Or does it just stew for 2 weeks? And also, you're still talking about, still missing some things. So my guess is you're still going to be aggressive on pit road, because you're going to feel like you need to gain every position. So how do you balance that with what you've done the last 2 weeks and what you're going to have to do?
Well, I think that's ultra accurate. What you said is, I feel like I've got to get everything I can on pit road to get that track position, because on the racetrack we're not that strong. So, a lot of it is, I'm coming in, the last 2 weeks we're coming in to pit road, getting ready to face a green-white checkered. Crew chief makes a call that I know is going to put me on the front row based off of the strategy we're going to play. So I'm sitting there trying to get every little mark on my tack I can on pit road to ensure that I'm going to give myself a chance to go for a win. I know if I start second row, my chances are done. It's not going to happen. So, I've made tons of mistakes there, and I've left a lot on the table points-wise by doing that. But, you just make adjustments. Like you said, you can't go out there and practice it, but you make adjustments. These engineers and the crew chiefs and everyone, so precise of what you're running on pit road speed by your tack and the lights on the tack now, that you just make a 1 dot adjustment next time you go there. You understand that you can't push it that 1 extra. And so we continue to get closer and closer to pit road speed every single week. Really, it used to be people, if the speed limit was 35, guys would be running 33. And now we've pushed it all the way up to 39.5, because the technology is so much better. We get pit road reports every single week of, I can get 1 more mile an hour in this section next time we go there. So write that down and tell me to be more aggressive there. So we continue to push, because it's so hard to make those passes out on the racetrack.
All right. Denny, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank
Good
you.
luck this weekend.